question I get all the time is, what is the proper way to be lifting? My name is Dr. Keith Branford with Coastal Chiropractic in Madison, Connecticut, and today I want to share a tip with you about the proper mechanics of lifting. And so we have our friend's spine here, and first thing we need to note about the mechanics of the body are we first need to be having 3 specific curves in our body. One curve in the neck, another one here, and an opposite one here. Now, you've often heard that we should be bending with our knees and picking up with our knees. And yes, that's very important. And more importantly is the position that bending with our knees actually puts us in. Now, when we talk about physics of the body and how that functions, there's 3 typical types of forces. There's a compressive force of our spine that goes downward. There's also a tensile force of the muscles that are pulling against the spine, and then there's the shear force. The shear force is the force coming this way through the spine. Now, when our spine is vertical and upright, we're primarily getting compressive forces and tensile forces. Now, as soon as we start to bend over, that's when the shear forces start to shear the joint space. And that's where we become most vulnerable. Now, when there's a shear force combined with a rotation force, when that spine rotates, for example, when we are maybe shoveling snow, that's when our spine and our discs become the most vulnerable. So, when we bend over to pick something up at the waist, our spine does this. We lose the curve, the spine bends forward. That puts a great deal of forces throughout the spine, and it makes our spine in a very vulnerable position. And so bending the waist is no good and makes us very susceptible to the damage. Now, what happens is when you hear someone say bend with your knees, what that allows you to do is stay in a more upright position and maintain the curve in your lower back right here. Now, the other very important factor in lifting is keeping that load as close to the center of gravity as possible. When that load comes further away from your body, that shifts the center of gravity forward, and it puts much more shear forces on the spine, is where you become very vulnerable and susceptible to injuries. So as a quick recap, really make sure we are bending with those knees, but the real reason why that's so important is it allows you to keep your torso more upright and maintain this low back curve right here. The other thing is keeping that weight close to our body keeps the center of gravity closer to our body, which allows us to stay more vertical. There's much less shear forces on the spine, and we're way less susceptible to that injury. Again, if you know someone, this time of the year when we're lifting, snow is coming, and we're going to be lifting and torquing, that's the most common time that I see people slip a disc or throw their back out. And number one is we need to find out what's the mechanism of action of that. And often people say, oh, I'm going to wait until it gets better. Well, it never gets better on its own. There's always an underlying problem there, and it really needs to get to the source of it. So a detailed evaluation is one of the most important things that we can do to actually find out what's the cause. And once we know the cause, then the rest of it all falls into place, and it's very easy. So we can get long-term results for that person instead of just feeling better, taking a few Advil, and you feel better for a few days, but what's going to happen? 2 Advil turns into 8 Advil, and that's never a way that we want to be taking care of our body. So always getting to the cause is the most important. So if you know anybody, maybe yourself, that's been suffering of low back pain, sciatica, disc bulge or issue, this is exactly what we do. We will do a very detailed examination, take the appropriate x-rays, and we would do a motion study x-ray to find out where the cause of that problem is, so we can develop a game plan to get you back on your feet, walking, running, moving, playing with your kids without that pain anymore. Again, my name is Dr. Keith Branty from Coastal Chiropractic in Madison, Connecticut. Thank you so much for tuning in.